Welcome to episode 11 of this series about our American West and the Stephen-townsend-murphy party. Every other week, we'll share a 10-minute slice of some of the best stories about how the American West came to be and California grew to become the fourth largest economy in the world. It all began in the mid-1800s, following an immigrant migration that began as a trickle, then became a massive movement, fueled by desire for land, economic opportunities, and escaping hardships. This week, crack open the Survivors and Heroes Expedition, which launches on Monday, September 29th from Donner Memorial State Park at 7 a.m. For 5 days, the 6-member expedition team will ride and run for 120 miles, Donner Lake to Auburn, California, retracing the hoofprints and footsteps of the advance party, which come from the Stephen-townsend-murphy party in November 1844. They were called the Horseback Party of Six. We'll delve into the reasons why history expeditions and the endurance athletes that cut their way across the Sierra Mountains, across the Rubicon, and down the Georgetown Divide do what they do. And most important, what lessons we can learn from the Stephen-townsend-murphy party to use in our everyday lives. Be sure to follow the Survivors and Heroes Expedition beginning Monday, September 29th at 7 a.m. with their live tracker, whose link can be found on their website at historyexp.org, or their History Expeditions Facebook group. We hope you enjoy.
When we think about America's westward expansion, the stories that usually jump out are, often about struggle, hardship, sometimes real tragedy.
Right. Images of pioneers battling blizzards, starvation. It's grim stuff.
Exactly. But hidden within that familiar narrative is this really extraordinary success story, one that's often overlooked, but honestly, it fundamentally reshaped American history.
A story of triumph against the odds.
Precisely. A triumph of survival, smart thinking, and collaboration. It really deserves its moment. Today, we're going deep, focusing on this incredible journey, this group whose achievement, it should be legendary. Our sources for this dive explore these forgotten heroes and uncover the key lessons, the surprising facts behind one of the greatest unsung achievements in American history, and figure out what it all means for you today.
It's so true. You mentioned crossing into California back then, and 99% of people think Donner Party, their terrible fate in the Sierra Nevada.
Yes.
It's burned into our memory.
It really is.
And that story is powerful, no doubt.
Yeah.
But what makes this story so compelling is that it happened 2 years before the Donner disaster.
2 years earlier.
Yeah. And their success wasn't just luck. It proved overland travel to California was actually possible. Doable if you approached it right. It set this huge precedent.
Absolutely. We're talking about the Stephen-townsend-murphy party, 1844 to 45. They were the first wagon train to successfully cross the Sierra Nevada into California.
The first ones with wagons, yeah.
And here's the kicker, the detail that just stops you in your tracks.
Yeah.
They didn't lose a single person.
Not one. 0 casualties.
0. On a route many thought impossible, through mountains that would later become, notorious.
And that timing you mentioned, 1844, that's just crucial. This wasn't some later trip after the paths were all mapped out.
No, this was pioneering stuff.
Definitely. Their success wasn't just good fortune. It came down to careful planning, being adaptable, and this amazing ability to tackle obstacles. They showed wagons could cross the Sierra. That opened the door, really.
It potentially changed everything. Without them, who knows how westward expansion might have played out.
Could have been very different.
Okay, so let's unpack this. If the journey was so dangerous, the mountains so unforgiving, how did they pull it off? How did they avoid any deaths when the odds seemed stacked against them? What do the sources say?
Well, a key part of it, especially as winter really set in, comes down to this specific group, a smaller party that pushed ahead. They called them the Horseback Party of Six.
Ah, yes, when the snow got too deep for the main wagons.
Exactly. These were the folks who volunteered for the toughest leg. Their names, they deserve remembering. Elizabeth Townsend, Ellen Murphy, John Murphy, Daniel Murphy, Francis DeLand, and Oliver Magnan.
Their backgrounds were pretty normal. Elizabeth Townsend, a 25-year-old woman, apparently quite frail, hoping the journey would improve her health. And Ellen Murphy, just 17, the daughter of Irish immigrants. The others were farmers, laborers, not, seasoned mountaineers or legendary heroes.
No, not the types you'd expect to lead a desperate winter trek.
Right, just ordinary people facing this terrifying 135-mile journey through unknown snow-choked mountains. And they chose courage. They just decided, okay, we have to keep going.
And what's fascinating here is just that the contrast. You've got Seemingly everyday people, like a young woman seeking help, a teenager facing conditions that would test anyone. Absolutely anyone.
Pushed to the limit.
Totally. Their backgrounds give zero indication they were prepped for this, yet they showed this incredible history-making bravery. It really highlights how heroism isn't like reserved for special people. It often comes from ordinary folks making extraordinary choices when things get tough.
It speaks to that potential in all of us, doesn't it?
It really does.
But even with all that grit, I mean, how did they find their way? This was uncharted territory for them, hostile even. And the accounts point to something critical, something often missed. Collaboration, cross-cultural collaboration.
Ah, yes. This wasn't about them discovering a path.
Not at all. The route they ended up following wasn't new in the slightest.
That's such a key point. The historians found this path wasn't some 1840s invention. It was actually an ancient Native American trade route.
Ancient is right. Used by the Washoe and Nisenan peoples for, get this, maybe 20,000 to 30,000 years.
30,000 years. Just imagine that.
Yeah.
Generations moving through that land, learning its secrets, its rhythms.
Yeah.
Long, long before any immigrants showed up.
And it wasn't just the physical path, it was the knowledge shared. The sources really emphasized the crucial role of Chief Truckee.
A Paiute guide.
He shared absolutely vital information, where to find water, understanding the weather patterns, the timing for crossing tricky passes. This wasn't just friendly advice, it was life-saving intelligence.
Absolutely critical. And think about the communication challenges. They didn't speak the same language.
How did they manage that?
Well, the accounts say through gestures, through drawings in the sand. It shows how essential that nonverbal exchange was. They found a way.
Wow.
And connecting that to the bigger picture, it's just this powerful reminder, isn't it? Remarkable achievements often happen when different groups work together, across cultures, sharing different kinds of knowledge for a common goal. Their survival literally depended on listening to and trusting the wisdom of people who'd known that land for millennia.
Their leadership approach was also pretty remarkable.
Definitely.
Unlike some later groups who got desperate and just raced ahead, they seemed to prioritize sustainability, not just speed.
Exactly. They were much more measured. They didn't just charge blindly forward. They actually sent people ahead to scout the routes, check the terrain, figure out obstacles.
Proactive.
And crucially, they built in time to rest, to recuperate. They understood the massive physical and mental toll. It was about endurance, long-term survival, not just a frantic dash. That kind of sustainable pace. We could probably use more of that today, couldn't we?
We really could. And here's where it gets, I think, really interesting. Their leadership structure. It was collaborative, almost non-hierarchical, and decades ahead of its time.
How so?
The sources specifically mention women were included as equals in making dangerous decisions. Think about that in the 1840s.
That is radical for the time.
You see someone like Elizabeth Townsend not just as a passenger, but as an active participant in figuring out how they'd all survive.
That's incredible. And that internal structure, that progressive approach, was combined with, well, humility?
Humility.
Yeah. They weren't arrogant. They didn't assume their limited experience in this new place was better than local knowledge. They readily accepted help from the Native Americans, from Chief Truckee. They valued that expertise.
Instead of just relying on their own maps or guesswork.
Right. Which makes you wonder, doesn't it? How good are we today at valuing different kinds of expertise in our own leadership? Are we really open to wisdom from outside our usual circles, whether it's, in business or community work?
Those are really pertinent questions. They stretch way beyond just this historical story. So let's make that connection explicit. How do these lessons from the 1840s, from people facing literal wilderness, translate to our lives now with our modern complexities?
Well, the core principles are surprisingly timeless, I think. You can boil them down. First, careful preparation is key, but you also have to stay flexible for the unexpected.
Things always go off script.
Always. Second, the need to accept expert guidance, even if it challenges what you thought you knew, like a tech company succeeding because it actually listened to early user feedback instead of just pushing its original flawed idea.
Good analogy.
Then there's balancing support for others with taking personal responsibility for your own part. And finally, maybe the biggest one, just persisting, pushing through when things seem impossible. These aren't just historical anecdotes. They're practical guides for navigating challenges today, whether it's a tough project at work or, a personal hurdle.
It's interesting, even the modern team that researched this story kind of echoes these ideas. The research mentions they spent hundreds of hours on the ground physically exploring just to reconstruct the route.
following those old footsteps.
Exactly. It's like discovery sometimes isn't about blazing a brand new trail, but about diligently following the path worn down by generations before us. The best way forward might actually be an old, forgotten way.
And what I appreciate here is that the deep dive materials don't shy away from the difficult truths. It's crucial to acknowledge that this success story, amazing as it is for the immigrants, happened during a time that was devastating for Native American communities.
Right, the broader context is unavoidable and often tragic.
We can celebrate the incredible resilience and ingenuity of the Stephen-townsend-murphy party, but we have to do it while remembering the wider impact of westward expansion. Their story shows a moment of collaboration that, frankly, stands out against the backdrop of that era.
And that brings up a point about heroes, doesn't it? The accounts suggest they weren't perfect, idealized figures. Heroes are often just ordinary people who, when tested, choose courage, choose compassion, choose determination, even within the complex, sometimes messy context of their times. It's about making a choice.
And their legacy isn't just abstract history. The impact was tangible, profound. The records suggest their success directly enabled something like 12,000 descendants to eventually make that journey to California.
12,000, wow.
It literally changed the demographics, the culture of California, a direct line from their success to the state's future.
It's staggering. And even though the modern expedition researching them uses GPS and high-tech gear, the sources remind us the fundamental challenges haven't changed that much.
Still steep terrain, still unpredictable weather.
Still immense physical effort and that absolute need for teamwork under pressure. The core human challenges remain. I was really struck by that detail about the modern team carrying tribute cards for all 52 original party members.
Yeah, that's powerful.
It's such a potent reminder, isn't it? People who chose to try remarkable things, often with no guarantee of success, no expectation of fame, just countless acts of courage.
Yeah, ordinary people doing extraordinary things.
So wrapping this up, what does it all mean for you listening today?
I think the biggest lesson from these forgotten heroes isn't just about history or endurance. It's about recognizing that extraordinary potential hiding in, well, ordinary circumstances.
Yeah.
In all of us.
Every single day we're making choices, right? Little ones, big ones, choosing courage instead of comfort, choosing to collaborate instead of just competing, choosing determination when it feels easier to just give up.
The path of least resistance. Exactly. And the story of that horseback party of 6, it's just this vivid reminder that those daily choices, they add up. They shape our lives. Sometimes they even shape history.
That's a powerful thought to end on. Like Elizabeth Townsend, Ellen Murphy, and the others, you face choices too. Between the known and the unknown. Between looking out only for yourself or for the group. Between hitting a wall and deciding to push past it.
They weren't trying to be heroes. They were just trying to survive together.
They simply chose courage, compassion, and determination when it mattered most. And that same choice, it's available to every single one of us, every day. Their footsteps are still out there, metaphorically worn into the stone. Maybe start today. Find one challenge where you can choose collaboration over competition, or accept guidance from someone who knows more. Or just keep going when the easy option is to quit. Honor their legacy by, well, becoming the hero your own circumstances need you to be.
We hope you've enjoyed our complete series about the Stephen-townsend-murphy party, an upcoming Survivors and Heroes expedition. We invite you to learn more at our websites. We provide links in the show notes. If you missed previous episodes, we encourage you to go back and listen in order for the full experience on your favorite podcast platform. Just search for American West Live. From all of us at History Expeditions and the Sunnyvale Heritage Park Museum, we look forward to seeing you on the trail.